Connection is perfect. What you mean? Let me check. I'm hardwired in, so I don't got them problems. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Let's try it one more time. Here we go. We are live now. You know what time it is. I got a special guest for you today. His name is Lamar Sally, but we call him Big Sal. Man, how you feeling today?
Oh man, I'm doing good, man. Doing good. How you doing?
Man, I'm phenomenal. I'm really excited for this. It's crazy. You never know where life will take you. Lamar played with my father, and I would see him at some games. He always supported me, man. As an athlete, he'd come in when he could, and my dad would always, tell me about you. Say he was asking about me, and then here I am interviewing you. Look at that. Look at that.
uh,
And so we gonna ask you the $100 million question, Lamar.
yeah, yeah.
Was my dad better than me, or was I better than my dad?
Well,
Remember, this is my show.
I'm gonna take the man. He boy. I grew up with him. We was your college friends, and I remember when you was a kid. So you put me in an awkward situation, man. So,
Dang, we all know the answer. The answer is big. Nah, it's little Darryll. Y'all know what the answer is. It's me. I'm 6'5". He only like 6'1".
hey, man.
Let me tell you who my friend Lamar Sally is. He grew up in Detroit, Michigan. Detroit, where he excelled as an athlete and earned a football scholarship to none other than Central Michigan University. Fire up chips.
Yeah.
Upon graduating with a degree in communications, he had a brief stint playing in the NFL for the New Orleans Saints and my favorite team now, the Atlanta Falcons, because I live down here. After football, he attended Columbia College Chicago Graduate Screenwriting and Directing Program. While attending graduate school, a professor liked his work and sent his script to a producer friend in Los Angeles, which earned him a screenplay option. Since coming to Hollywood, Lamar has won every major writing fellowship: the Bill Cosby Writing Program, Nickelodeon Writing Program, and the prestigious ABC Disney Writing Fellowship. He has been a staff writer on the ABC sitcom Rodney, wrote and executive produced The View's Sherri Shepherd's comedy special for Epix titled It's My Turn to Talk, and sold a half-hour comedy to HBO, which is loosely based on his experience as an English teacher in South Central Los Angeles. Y'all join me in welcoming my big friend, Big Sal. We're gonna talk about transitioning from sports to the creative field. Wow. Such an interesting topic. We got some other stuff we want to cover, but you can share this amazing interview with your friends. You can host a watch party if you're watching on Facebook. That will notify all of your friends that this is content worth listening to. If you're watching on another platform, go ahead and click that share button. And I have to announce, if you have not yet got the book, Who Am I After Sports, head over to the link that they're dropping in the comments and that you see there on the screen, because 100%, 100 of all the proceeds within the first week are going to support inner city youth sports programs, because we believe in giving back. And we found out yesterday that we hit number 1 in new release in 2 categories, and we hit number 10 for a couple of hours, which was 3 spots behind Tom Brady. So here's what I recommend. I am going to go on a limb and say, listen, either Tom Brady's friend likes him more than, either his friends like him more than y'all like me, or we got to prove him wrong. So if you support your boy, if you believe in athletes' mental health, go purchase the book.
Right.
And while you're at it, purchase 10 copies, because you know what? You get access to all of the bonuses. You get access to all of the replays that we've done with the former pros and the industry experts. And you get access to my exclusive interview with Sports One Marketing co-founder David Meltzer. You get access to the first 5 lessons of my Purpose Made Profitable course, and you get the ebook to take with you wherever you go. If you want to know what's in the book, whether you're an athlete or whether you're somebody who's in transition, or whether you just want an interesting story, this book will help you detach your identity from your activity, find your highest purpose and live more fulfilled. Because I believe, Mr. Lamar, that you should never have to sacrifice your mental health on the altar of success.
Yes.
Where's my bill?
Right.
So, all right, I'm done talking. That's my commercial for today. I want to know about you. Our audience can't wait to hear from you. Let them know about your story and how did you get involved in sports?
Man, well, I would just say it started, growing up. I grew up on a very unique street. I grew up on the west side of Detroit, and on my block, off of 7 Mile, we had 23 boys, no more than 5 years apart. And so when we played sports out in the street, I mean, we played full contact football. We played, like, 5-on-5 basketball, so it would be, one team playing like, 5-on-5 out there playing while, 10 people waiting. So, we played. So we was a very sports centered street. So there was nothing, there was no staying in the house, like playing video games. So when we woke up in the morning, it was like we couldn't wait to get outside and play, football, basketball. Like in the winter, it was snow football. In the summer, it was baseball. We grew up where there was a neighborhood baseball league that we played. I grew up playing baseball rather than basketball. So
Did you?
yeah, so it was I always played sports, so there was nothing, it was nothing new to me. So when I got to high school, it was just expected that I went out for the football team. Everybody on my street had done some type of sports. So, and I think I instilled that in my son now that, I told him even at an early age, I said, hey, man, when you get old enough to join the Little League, I'm literally going to bring a bag full of balls and dump it out on the living room floor and be like, hey, man, pick a ball, any ball, whether it be basketball, football, a golf ball, a soccer ball, whatever. Because guess what? You're not coming strictly, right home from school. You got practice.
Mm-hmm.
So that is just, sports was just in me, but it started at, being surrounded by guys on my street that we all had the same mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our parents instilled that in us because it was like there was no running around getting in trouble. It's like, no, you hung out with people who had your same interests, which I was so glad for that because you could tell that the people who didn't play sports, they got in trouble. They drank, they smoked, they around, and they got in trouble because our free time was sports, and I think that's so important now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's was my love affair with sports started.
Man, what do you think has contributed to your success as an athlete?
What contributed to my success as an athlete? Probably my parents, my family, and my friends, just being supportive. I don't probably give enough credit to my mom. She really supported me. She attended literally every game, through high school. She was on the parent club in high school. In college, she attended every game, even when I wasn't playing. Freshman year when I was a redshirt freshman, she still came up to the game just to see her son sit on the sideline. But she came to every game, every away game. She came to every game. So she wanted me to know that, she was there for me. When the home game, she brought up food, so while the other kids were, maybe going to the cafeteria or on Sunday when there was no food plan, man, some of the kids would come over to my house because my mother would bring a truckload of food, barbecue chicken, ribs, turkey. I mean, I had a full course Sunday meal. I couldn't eat all that food, so I would invite kids over my house. I say, hey, man, my mom cooked. It's gonna go the way it's gonna be. So it was my mom, that really showed that support and was like, that had my back and really showed that as long as you're doing good, I'm a support.
Yeah. Being a college athlete is something that I believe, it's as low as 4% and as high as 7-8% of all athletes have that opportunity. And if you just take Division I numbers, it's even lower probability. So it's already an elite playing level.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say is the difference or some differences between playing in college and playing professionally?
When I played on that level, it is, you got the best of the best, and the one thing, it's faster. There is not a lot of the learning curve. It's not really there. Like you may come in as a freshman in college, and they don't expect you to know a whole lot, so they give you time to develop. It's not like that in the pros. No, you got to come in and you got to be on it. It's not a whole lot of learning curve. Like you said, FL stands for not for long. So you got to come in and you got to know. You got to, they expect some stuff for you not to know, because it is the pros.
Yeah.
But you got to be on it, and if you don't know it, you can't know it not for too long. You got to really be on it.
Yeah.
Game is a lot faster. I'm talking about, you may have been the fastest person on your team, but hell, everybody in the pros is running a 4.40.
Right.
Defensive lineman, everybody's benching 350. So you might have been the strongest person on your team, but not everybody is at that level. As you, everybody is as strong and everybody is as fast. So it was shocking, and quite frankly, everybody has that love of the game, and everybody wants to be out there. And some people that are there, not only the money's great. Now, don't get me wrong, the money's good, but you have people out there that they have to make the team because they got to eat, and not only do they have to eat, they got to feed their family, not just maybe their wife, their kids, but their mother, their father, their uncle, their aunt. And I remember this one guy, he got cut like the same time I did, and it was traumatic for me, and I was like, okay, I got cut, whatever. But in the back of my mind, it wasn't so traumatic because I had a plan. I got cut. Okay, I'm going to grad school. When him, he was like, he was broken heart. He was boohoo crying. And I was like, dude, okay, man, maybe you get picked up on another team. And he was like, nah, man, you don't understand. I can't go back to Tupelo, Mississippi. My whole family was counting on this.
Right.
They was counting on this money to save the farm. They was counting on this money to buy a new tractor, And he just felt like he let everybody down. And I was just like, damn, I never knew that certain people was in that situation.
That type of pressure.
That, their whole life was like the town sent him to the pros, not just his family, but that whole town. sent him to college.
Mm-hmm.
And now sent him to the pros.
Mm-hmm.
And so he had that weight of making that team so he can come back and make a difference in that town. And I thought, wow, what a heavy burden on him, and an unfair burden, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
He's still, he's 22, but it shouldn't be on him to change this whole life.
Right.
And I thought to myself, man, and he didn't have any other option. I don't even think this dude had graduated. Matter of fact, I tell you a quick story. When I was with the Saints, so I went to the first practice, the first mini camp, and the second mini camp was during my graduation. And I'm like, oh man, like what am I gonna do? So I'm thinking, like, do I miss my graduation? My whole family is coming to graduation.
Right.
So I talked to my position coach, and I'm like, hey, coach, my graduation is Saturday, and he understood. He says, nah, man, don't miss your graduation. He says, I tell you what, come to one day of mini camp, but fly out, come that Friday and fly out Saturday morning, to catch an early flight and go to your graduation, and we'll see you at the next mini camp. And I'm looking at like, you sure this ain't gonna mess up my case? He said, no, man, we understand. He said, he's looking at me like, man, we understand. This ain't gonna stop your chances, of making a team and everything. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I do, and I do it, and I leave and everything. And I didn't think it was a big deal, so I didn't tell anybody. So the next mini camp, I come back and everybody's looking at me like, oh man, we thought you got cut. And I said, no, man, I had to go to my graduation. So everybody is looking at me like, you graduated? I'm like, yeah, man, like I graduated. Like, didn't you? Nah, man, I got to go to summer school, or I got to do this. So I was literally known from that point as the guy that graduated.
Wow.
Hey, y'all went through. So I'm thinking, like, what did you graduated early? I mean, you got picked up, you came out early. So a lot of those guys went through 5 years of college and didn't get their degree. I'm just like, how do you go through 5 years of college, 5 years of a free scholarship? You could have went to summer school and you didn't graduate on time. And I that blew my mind, but hey, some people, it was right there for them. And I was just like, so I was the guy who graduated. And but there was some people who did graduate, but maybe of the I don't know, 20 guys who was in camp and mini camp, I would say maybe 5 of us graduated on time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
man, you got me. You just don't understand. Like, you're striking all my buttons, because this is one of the things that we're really passionate about as an organization, is to be able to give athletes scholarships to go back to school. And I'll tell you one of the reasons why this organization is named Second Chance Athletes, because I literally felt like I got a second chance at life. Like, not just because I survived suicide, but also because I always say it this way. I said I had the right degree. It was something I was passionate about, but I didn't apply myself. I was smart enough to get by in school. So I was fortunate enough to work for the university after I graduated. And when you work for the university, you get free education. All you got to do is pay the taxes. So it's only a couple of hundred versus a lot of thousands.
Right.
And so I actually went back and retook undergraduate courses, the same ones that I had already taken, even though my grades were good. It was just because I didn't really get the experience and the preparation that I needed for the career.
Right.
And so I want to afford other athletes, and let me say, we want to afford other athletes that same opportunity. And so, man, that is so important. And I'm glad you touched on that, because that's not something that we've covered yet on our live. And I want to get into your transition, And by the way, guys, if you're just tuning in, interviewing Lamar Sally, he played with my father at Central Michigan University. He said that I was better than my dad early on the stream.
I didn't. The girl probably watched.
Oh man, and man, he's an award-winning screenwriter, and man, I thought that was so interesting reading through your bio and just knowing what I know from what me and my dad have talked about. That here you are, this big guy playing football, but yet you've got this creative passion. Talk about that. Was it something you always knew you had? And what was your transition? Excuse me. What was your transition like from sports to what you're doing today?
It was you know, I grew up always loving like television and film. I was always like a movie buff and television. You know, I love the creative atmosphere. I think, and I actually got a chance to meet him, Dick Gregory. He came up to Central Michigan, and I remember, you know, of course, you know, they bring the Black people up during Black History Month at Central. It's probably a lot better now, you know, but that's the only time we would see the Black, you know, speakers was doing Black History Month.
Yeah, it's gotten better, man. It's gotten better.
Okay. Gregory here, and I remember to this day he was saying that he says, you know, that you guys are in a unique position because you're not beholden to anything. You can choose any career. You can go down any career path you want. And I think at the time, you know, because I wasn't scared to get up in front of people, and I think I was a good talker, you know, and I really wanted to be like a public speaker, or I wanted to be like Elizabeth Pope, you know, from how to get away with murder, but Scandal. You know, I always felt like I'm a good talker and I could talk people into doing things, and I could look at a situation kind of dissect it, and you know, and just tell the truth about a situation. And I remember Dick Gregory saying that 85% of the people, and it's probably higher, go to a job every day that they hate, but they do it because, number one, they're married, they have a wife and kids, they have a mortgage, they have a car, and you know, and once you get in that situation, you're stuck. You know, you can't just transition to a job that makes less money. He says, so before you do that, choose a job that you would go to work for free.
Right.
And if you do that, you'll live a lot longer, you'll live a happier life. He said, even if it's going to the zoo feeding animals and it pays you minimum wage, do that. Trust me. It may not pay a whole lot of money. You may not live in a big house, but you will live a happier life.
Man.
And I thought to myself, like, the career path that I'm on, will that make me happy? Will that, you know, if I look up 20 years from now and I have a mortgage and wife and a kid, will I, you know, will I be drinking? Will I be doing drugs? Will I still love my wife? Will I, you know, will I be mad to come home?
Right.
And, you know, so I was taking a class, and I never forget, it was called BCA 288. It was
I remember that class.
Yeah.
Oh, that class hurt.
Yes.
Oh, that class hurt. That's the weed out class.
It was a film appreciation class.
Yep.
Dr. Jakevitz.
Hey, do you know I failed that class twice?
Really?
Yeah, because they make you watch these black and white movies and then quiz you on them. Like, I get out of practice, they make me watch a black and white 3-hour movie, and then they quiz you on like something that you have to watch the whole movie to understand. And I was falling asleep, but what it is, it's a weed out class. So if you're not serious about this career field, you ain't gonna make it through that.
I loved it. Love, love the talking, just all those classics. I loved it. Loved and just learning the symbolism behind it. Because I grew up watching those films, but then to find out this is why they did this, and this is why they cut here, and this is what this meant. And I was like, oh, okay, that's what that meant, and that's what they did. Casablanca, loved it, loved it, loved it, loved it. So most of the football players took it, and they would be in their sleep. And I was the only one in there, just like, oh my God, like So love that class, right? So during the final, I'm the only one. Just I'm taking the final and everything, and I'm getting it all right. Literally, all the football players are surrounding me in the circle, in the semicircle, right? They're all around me because they knew I'm getting straight A's in the class. They're cheating off my paper. And making not trying to hide it at all. They're like looking up and hey Lamar, what's 5? I'm like, dude, shut up. They I don't know, 50 questions and I think it's only because we're football players, they call us out on it, right? It was so bad that once I finished my paper, I'm getting up to leave. And all the football players, hey man, where you going? Man, leave the paper, man, leave the paper. And so the just look up and just drop his head, right? And I just like, hey man, turn my paper in when y'all finish. And I just left my paper and walked out. They literally passed my test around and copied down the answers to the final. And everybody got straight A's.
Hey, I needed you when I took that class, man. I failed that boy twice. And because if you get a C-, you fail it. And I was so mad because I had like a 72. And I was like, come on, man. You could have just boosted me. She's like, no.
And that's when I knew, like, that was my calling. I knew because I love that class. I love the creative process. And along with Dick Gregory, and I said, you know what? I can work in this creative field. I still didn't know exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
I knew I wanted to be in this field some kind of way. And I knew that if I showed up every day, I didn't know how much money it made, but I knew that I would love to go to work every day. And I knew that my life would be great and I would be a happy person doing it.
So let me ask you this question: if you knew that, why did you still spend a short time in the league?
What do you mean?
Like, if you knew that that's what you were passionate about. I mean, you're talking. BCA 288 had to be like a sophomore class. So and then you always knew you had a love for film, and that's what you aspired to do. But yeah, you still are pursuing, an NFL career. So, why not just graduate from college and go directly into the workforce?
Well, because I didn't want to not pursue football. I wanted to. I didn't want to leave anything on the table because it was like football chose me. I didn't choose football. So when I had the opportunity to play football, I gave it my all. And at the end of the day, I can never look back on it and say, well, I had a chance to do it, or I had a chance to go to the league and I passed it up. Or I can never say, man, I wonder what would have happened. I wonder what if. I can always say, you know what? I played. I was good. I was a good athlete. I played, when I graduated, I was a top 25 defensive tackles in the nation. And, I gave it my all. I did my little 2 years and that was it. And then I moved on. So I had my backup plan was always You know, if football don't work, I go into
Mhm.
grad school. I'm going to film school.
Mhm.
And that's exactly what I did.
Good. Man, and talk about what's it like being in that industry, obviously having some incredible success, winning prestigious awards.
Hmm.
Man, what was that like? And man, what would you say to other people who are aspiring to be successful in the same industry that you have been successful in?
One thing about sports, um, it is it applies to every industry. You know, that the same way I apply um, my drive in the sports to make me a top 25 defensive tackle, I apply it in my industry as far as my writing. There are days that I don't feel creative, or I don't feel like writing, or I don't feel like um, getting up and doing it. And I think about those tour days, or I think about,
Woo, woo.
yeah, yeah, think about those games when we were down.
Hmm.
And and I try to teach my son that, because he's 6 and he doesn't understand, but I'm teaching him now that, just because you're down, man,
Right,
you're out. And,
right.
you know, there's 4 quarters to a game for a reason.
Yep.
you know,
Yeah.
and because I've been down. Hell, I've been down, at halftime 28-0,
Yeah.
and came back and won.
Hmm.
And I always look back on that Michigan State game, man, and
Hmm.
the first Michigan State game, where going into the game, hell, even my mama thought we was gonna lose. And
Yeah.
and I apply that to life, man.
Yep.
It's just that you're never out,
Yep.
and, and you just gotta keep going forward, keep pushing forward.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna read you an excerpt from this book because you speak in the book right now, man. I have this is in my I don't even know what you call it. The beginning chapters. It's before the forward, but you see this right here. Hold on, let me see. It says major disclaimers. Please give me grace. Let me read what I wrote.
Okay.
I said, I don't think athletes are the most superior beings on the planet. My wife and 3 editors all voiced concern about the tone of my writing at times throughout this book. My
Mhm.
gratitude for the work ethic athletes can develop within athletes at times may sound as if I believe athletes are superior to others. I don't believe that. It was too challenging to extract that from the writing without losing my natural voice. So I made an executive decision to leave those places as my authentic writing voice and clarify my heart and beliefs in this section. I don't think athletes are superior. I believe sports are a great tool to develop perseverance, grit, tenacity, mental toughness, leadership, teamwork, and other transferable skills. I neither think athletes are the only high achievers on the planet, nor do I believe that athletes have some special gift from God to be more tenacious. I believe the mindset and skill set many athletes possess due to their involvement in sports also can be cultivated by other industries and experiences.
Mhm.
Consider it your secret sauce skills.
Yeah.
I believe that being pushed to the max physically, you talking about 2 days, and mentally in high pressure environments with hundreds or thousands of fans watching develops men and women in a way other forms of development do not.
Yep.
So like I'm with it. Like, and I'm gonna take this as a moment. Yeah, it was a teaser from the book. Exactly. That's why you gotta read it.
Mhm.
So go get it. And the links there in the chat and on the screen. But I just want to throw shots real quick at my team because I did almost 6 hours of live streaming on Tuesday. Had a
Mhm.
3-hour virtual launch party, and they were like, "Oh, you're gonna crash the next day, and you're not gonna be able to get up." And I'm like, "Nah, I don't work like that. It,
Nah.
it don't matter how tired you is, how sore your legs is.
Yeah.
You get up and you got the same practice with the same intensity." So I hopped on first thing in the morning and I did a live stream just for them. So just so y'all know, tell Amber that Lamar gets it. This is how we roll
Right.
as athletes.
Right.
So man, what has been some of your favorite pieces of work and why?
So my personal favorite
Yeah,
work?
yep, as a professional.
Um, hmm. Probably one of my favorites. It's always probably one of the one. It's the one I'm working on now. It's always like my favorite because it's a more personal story. Um, I'm a comedy writer, so it's yeah. So there's always a little bit of truth in every and I guess that's what makes it funny. When you ask any comedian, like I guess like everybody says like Richard Pryor is one of the funniest comedian on the planet. But what makes Richard Pryor so funny is because there's a lot of truth in his comedy,
Mm-hmm.
and he wasn't afraid to say it because when he talks about doing drugs and he talks about uh growing up in a whole house.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in a whole house.
Mm-hmm.
He did a lot of drugs. His mama was like a prostitute. His
Mm-hmm.
father was like the bouncer in the whole house. His grandmother was the madam. And when he talks about that, he says it in a funny way, and you laugh, but there's a lot of pain behind that. And everybody can't do that. Everybody can't expose themselves, that raw nerve like that. And it's funny to a lot of people, but I mean, think about that. Think about exposing your life like that to millions of people who can judge you
Mm-hmm.
and also throw it back at you.
Mm-hmm.
And and he did it. And especially think about this back in the 60s and 70s. You know, it doesn't seem so much, in the 2010 because times has changed and morals have changed.
Mm-hmm.
But he was doing that in the 60s and 70s, talk about how his mother gave blowjobs to the white man. The white dude would come over there, excuse me, son, is your mama home? I want a blow there. I would like a blowjob. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it was true. Like, people did come up, and he's a 6-year-old boy sitting on the stoop of the whole house,
Wow.
and they came up and asked him that, hey, is your mom home? I would like a blowjob.
Wow. Wow. That's
It's
crazy.
fun, but it actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
How did that affect this 6-year-old boy?
Right.
Yeah, it's funny, but it happened.
Right. Right.
So I think for me, what I'm writing now is one of my favorites because it's coming from a real place of truth, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And so I'm kind of finishing it now, and it took me a little while to write it.
Mm-hmm.
I had to come to terms on some things, but I
Yeah.
did, and yeah, and I'm almost finished with it.
Yeah. If you were to describe the entertainment industry to someone, how would you describe it to them?
Um, it's a cutthroat business. I'm still navigating it. I'm by no means where I want to be. And it's funny because although I won all these awards, uh, you know, I'm still, hey, I'm still, you know, I'm still bobbing and weaving. I'm still, by no means does it mean they're knocking down my door for an opportunity for a writing position. I'm still pounding the pavement. I'm still, uh, you know, going around like, hey, I'm
Mm-hmm.
myself.
Mm-hmm.
So is it uh, is there some racism in it? Yes. I always say that if my claim to fame is, yes, I won all these writing competitions, Disney, Nickelodeon, the Cosby program, Warner Brothers, that means something. If only one writer presented, to these competitions, I beat over 6,000 writers, and professional writers into these contests too. So I beat them all out. And so when I put that on the resume, if and let's be quite frankly, if I was a different skin complexion, that would probably hold more weight. But because I'm not, a lot of times that gets overlooked. And a lot of times, when it does, when someone is impressed with it, like, wow, you won Disney, you won Nickelodeon, you won this, you won that. Oh, you produced a television special. Oh, you sold a show to HBO, which is hard to do. And they're like, wow, you've done all this stuff. Hey, come in for an interview. And then when a 6'6", 300-pound black guy walks through the door, then their whole facial expression changes. Oh, I didn't know you were black. Like, okay, what does that mean? Matter of fact, I tell you a story. I wrote this thing and I sent it in for Family Guy, right? And they liked it. And they were like, oh man, he's a funny guy, da, 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 da. And I go in for the interview. And I thought it was a good interview and everything. So then I hear from my agent the next day, and they was like, they really liked you and everything. I said, okay, yeah, I like Family Guy and everything. But, and every time there's a but, it's never good. But they don't know if you'll be comfortable in the room. I said, well, what does that mean? They don't know I'll be comfortable in the room. Well, it's Family Guy, and they crack a lot of racial jokes, and they go there with the humor. Okay, I know how Family Guy operates. I mean, I watched the show, but they don't know if you'll be comfortable, and they say a lot of stuff that doesn't get into the script, and okay, and I mean, I know how to duck myself in the room. Well, and I'm just like, okay, so this is my agent, right? He's going all around it. I said, okay, hold on, man. So are you telling me, so what do you think? That they're going to say some, the N-word, and I'm just going to tear up the room? Are you kidding me? They're going to say some crazy racial jokes, and I'm just going to start busting the cap up in the writer's room? Like, they would never say that to a white guy. They would never say that to a gay guy. They will never say that to a woman. Because it's me, because I'm a big black guy. They're afraid to offend the big black guy.
Yeah.
So of course I didn't get the job.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's something to be said about your tenacity though. And this is one of the things I think I'm making an assumption, but I see a lot of people my age who quit over a lot less hard things than that. Right? Like they can't handle being in a room where, they say some things that are prejudiced. Like they can't. And they have very thin skin. And I mean, I for some reason, I don't know if it's because the way my dad raised me or I don't really know what it is, but I'm an anomaly in the sense of that I've got thick skin like that. And if my perspective is, there's this narrative, even now with all the things that's been happening with the police brutality and such, like people keep saying, well, nothing's changed. It's just as bad as it's ever been. I said, no, it's not. I'm married to a white woman. I live in Metro Atlanta, where the family, who our last name is a slave name, and the plantation where we were groomed is less than 3 hours from my house. We have mixed children, and I can drink from whatever water fountain I want. So don't tell me that nothing has changed. Right. And so I'd love for you to just, speak to, and I know this is not necessarily in a topic of transition, but a lot of minorities are in sports and they deal with some of this stuff still today. But just talk about the mindset of of what helps you to persevere in spite of some of the discrimination that you face?
You know, it's kind of like again, it goes back to sports. It goes back to that I'm never gonna quit. You know, you're never gonna hold me down. You're never gonna stop me. You know, it goes back to that mentality. Um, it all goes back to that of um you know, yeah, it just goes back to like, hey man, I can't tell you how many times that um I've gotten close to selling a show, or I've gotten close to getting a writing job. And what I would do, I would make a list. I would write down all my contacts, or I would write down all my you know all the things that okay, I call this person or I call that person, all my contacts, my hookups, my you know you know, all my hustle. I would call it my hustle list, and I would write down 10 things, that could happen. And I would look at that list, and I would be like, man, I got 10 things that I can do, and I would look at them, say, I call this person to hook me up with that. I call this person, or I got this meeting, I got that meeting, and da 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 da. And I would look at the list, and I would be like, man, something should happen out of these 10 things. Something's going to break. I got 10, like in poker, you get outs. I got 10 outs. Something's going to break with these 10 outs. And then all 10 of them fail. Nothing happens with all 10. And then I would be disappointed. I would be like, damn, man, all 10 of them fail. And I would take a day, 24 hours. I would never let it go past 24 hours. And I would tell myself, you got 24 hours to kind of stew, to kind of be upset, to kind of wallow in my misery or whatever. And then after that, start a new list. Because that's all.
That's good. That's good.
Start a new list. Then I would start another list.
That's good.
And that's it. Because I would tell myself, you can't stay in that place. And I think, that's what kind of separates the, and I hate to say it, and I just keep going back to the athlete or just the person that's going to make it, like Kevin Hart, the hustler. That separates the person who's going to make it and the person who's not going to make it. That separates the hustler, because you hustle hard today and you didn't get any results. Then you come and then you got to say, I'm gonna hustle even harder tomorrow.
Yeah.
No matter what the outcome is.
Right.
You hustle harder tomorrow and you may not get results. And you just keep hustling. You just keep hustling. Because one day you're gonna get the results that you want. And that's just it. You just got to keep doing it. Because one thing I always look at, man, is that you can't stop talent. You always say, you can judge me on my skin color, you can judge me on my height, you can judge me on my weight, but you can't stop talent.
That's good.
I know I got talent. I beat out 6,000 writers. I've sold a show. I've worked on a show. I know I have talent. Can't stop that. And that's just a simple fact.
Man, that's powerful, man. I love to end on this thought. I'm going to read another excerpt from the book, and I'd love for you to just speak to your initial reaction and what you think about this. I said, there will never be anything quite like sports. That's the sad reality. The good news for you and every other athlete who will face the end of an athletic career is that you have the power to find something more fulfilling than sports. And I tell you why I say this. I found a life more fulfilling than sports. And if I found it, so will you.
Yeah, yeah. I think that you just put that same energy into whatever you choose. You know, whether it be your marriage, whether it be your job, whether it be your hobby, it's whatever you choose it to be. Um, yeah. I mean, I loved it. I love the competition. I love the camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
I love what sports brought me, the friendships, the getting up there on Saturday and facing that opponent and saying that you're not going to beat me today, and I take that same attitude into the writers room, and I tell everyone that hires me, every showrunner, and I tell them that the person who you're hiring, I have a sports background. And so who you're getting is a person who wants to be number one. And so I'm the person who's going to stay the late hours, and we're going to write the best script possible because I'm used to winning. And so I'm not satisfied with just, writing a mediocre script. I want to write the funniest joke. I want to win the Emmy. I want to be, number one in the ratings. So, and I tell them, so if that's not your goal at this show, then I'm probably not the right writer to be on this show.
Mm-hmm.
So you probably need to hire someone else.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm used to. That's what I want to do. And yeah, so if it takes us being here to 2 o'clock in the morning, that's why I hired a nanny. That's why I paid her, $20 an hour so she can take care of my son. Because as long as my son is taken care of, bed, he's done his homework, he's in the bed, my mind is clear, I can stay here to 2 o'clock in the morning and write the good script.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to win the Emmy. I want to be here to write the best joke possible. I want to write the best script. And that's who you're hiring. So I pour all that energy that I put into sports.
Yeah.
And I transfer it over to my writing.
Love it.
Yep.
Man, this has been a phenomenal interview. I just want to say thank you for supporting and just sharing your story. If people are wondering how they can check out some of your work, let them know what's some of the work that you contributed to that they can go watch.
Just any I don't even know where Rodney is. There's a show called Rodney. It was on a couple of years ago on ABC. It's probably on DVD now. But and then I don't know if Sherri show it was on Epix. It's probably on DVD now. But that's it, and hopefully stay tuned, man, because as soon as I write this script, as soon as the pandemic is over, I plan on selling the show, man, and you'll be seeing it. I'll let you know. And tweet it out that
we got you.
And sold the show, and it'll be on the air soon.
We got you. Well, we're rooting for you, and we're in your corner. And if you need a big 6'5" black dude who's better than his dad as an athlete, then you hit me up. I'll be happy to play. I could play Medea pretty well, I got some talent.
No more.
Hey, I know that's right. Hey, again, thank you so much. And I want to make an appeal. If you guys have not got the book, I was thinking about this as you were sharing, and I was thinking about how much, as athletes, we understand the challenges that can arise when your identity is tied to your sport. And I was thinking about the many games that I would see you come support, and you'd probably never know that I was battling suicidal ideation
No.
because I was externally successful, but I was internally failing.
Mm.
And I personally would appreciate people buying a copy of this book. And I'm talking to everybody who's watching this live or the replay, because I want you to know that I laid it all out. And I was transparent about the way that I manipulated the healthcare system to get multiple epidural shots in my back to continue to numb my pain so I can play the game of football. I was transparent about the fact that I was hiding how hurt I was as an athlete from my coaches because I just didn't want to let it go. I got transparent about the fact that I wrote my suicide letter, and I was never vulnerable enough to tell somebody that I was having such thoughts. And I want the world to know, and that's one reason why I appreciate the support. So go check it out. My story is in there, and then there's just practical tips that will help you find your purpose. Like Lamar is walking in right now. So if you hear that and you say, man, I want to do something I'm passionate about. I want to do something that I would do for free. I've spent thousands of dollars in 5 years of research outlining the best questions that I believe will help you self-reflect and find your highest purpose in life. So go get the book, Who Am I After Sports? It's on secondchanceathletes.com. Click book and you get access to all the special bonuses. And remember that all of the proceeds that we sell within the first week will go towards supporting our inner city youth sports scholarship fund, because we believe in giving back. In the middle of the pandemic where people are holding on to their coin, we're choosing to give back because that's how much we believe, and that's how we all get better. Lamar, thank you again, my friend. This was amazing, man. We so thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you, man. Appreciate it, man. Glad to help out, man. Appreciate it.
Yes, man. And this will be up for everybody to watch again. My team has put the next guest on there. Thank you, Brooke. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Brooke. It's funny that we haven't interviewed creative yet, and we just did. And Brooke is an award-winning documentary filmmaker, photographer, and visual storyteller. She's the creator of the feature-length documentary, The Connected Cup. She specializes in narrative-driven storytelling with an immersive approach. The Connected Cup follows the global language of coffee and tea as a universal means of human connection, and how clean water plays a vital role in this fabric of the human experience. It has been filmed across 9 countries and in 9 languages to further the idea of universal language. So you'll get to hear from her. And if you've been following our movement for a while, you can go to our YouTube page and hear a little bit about her transition story. She shared that with us before. So excited to have her on. Lamar, thank you again, guys. And remember, if you're watching this replay, share and stay connected. Go get the book. We love you. Peace.
Okay, man. Talk to you later.
All right.